It seems more and more things come out as time passes. And there's a couple of things that, okay, I was listening to this story about Hurricane Katrina. And the thing I found very interesting is the fact that um, General Honore was down there. And him and the military, I mean, they were talking about, they were doing the best that they could with what they had. And he said that pretty much what I was hearing is the media didn't get things right. Uh, Kathleen Blanco was the former governor of, Kathleen Blanco was the former governor in Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina. And so I was watching this recap show about what was going on during Hurricane Katrina. And General Honore, he actually had said Kathleen Blanco made a fatal mistake when she was telling, um, when she was talking about the National Guard, and they were telling her about people who were rioting and things like that. Now, the government was saying that things were taken care of, people were being fed. But it sounded to me that what I saw then was General Honore was confronted by, he was confronted by Ted Koppel. And Ted Koppel was confronting people and saying they weren't being taken care of. So it looked to me like the government employees were very, very frustrated because of the fact they said the people were taken care of. Hello, Faith Bustamante. And so uh, General Honore said he looked around New Orleans. Hello, Elizabeth. So he looked around New Orleans, and he said at one point he said we're here to help people, not defend brands. And he said when I was looking around New Orleans, he said I realized they want us defending brands. Hello, Sully's Vids and Reggie. Hello, everyone. Does anyone have any uh, uh, thing they'd like to say about New Orleans? Because I remember, I mean, this was a hot topic back then when it was happening. You know, people were writing about New Orleans all the time, and you know, they said that the people in mansions. There was a guy in the commercial, and he actually had said that people in the mansions were getting rescued first before others. And so they were going into the affluent neighborhoods and helping people. And then everybody else was left. Now, to me, it seemed like a contradiction. It did. It seemed like a contradiction of from what the government was saying. And so Kathleen Blanco, she was saying, you know, what the discussion was even with General Honore. They said the troops had just come back from the Middle East. They were called in to serve in New Orleans, and he said that related to their weaponry, people were just not comfortable with that at all. And he said a lot of them had just come from the Middle East, and Kathleen Blanco was saying some really reckless things about what these troops could do with their firearms. And he's, I don't think that she got elected again. I'm not sure. Oh, it says she passed away. She passed away in August of 2019. But how long was she governor? That's what I'm curious about right now. Her lieutenant governor was Mitch Landrieu. I mean, now I know they've made a whole lot of mistakes at that time. New Orleans is considered a sanctuary city. Um, and so she was in office from January 8th 96 to 2004. So she served a considerable amount of time. So she served for 8 years as governor of New Orleans, and she said some reckless things. I mean, so it sounded to me like she was an activism governor, related to what she was doing down there. And so, but the thing that struck me was General Honore when he said, well, what he said was he said he grew up in the area, and so he said that he grew up poor. He knows what it's like. It's like, well, most military people grow up poor. That's what we've been trying to express. That the majority of people who are in the military are are not affluent. They're just a cross section of regular old American people from across the country. And General Henry, he made such a great point when he said he hit it out of the ballpark. I don't remember hearing that. What he said at the time, he said he looked around and he thought, we're defending brands. He said he's looking at the stores. He says, we're here to help people, not defend brands. So to me, there was a conflict of interest that was taking place back then related to what was going on with people in New Orleans. So what the government was expressing is that they were sensationalizing things back then. So it's quite possible, that things were sensationalized, and maybe some of the people in New Orleans were participating in something else going on as part of acting and entertainment. I'm not sure. Now, a lot of other people have expressed that the Army Corps of Engineers purposely did something to a levee, and that's when the lower Ninth Ward flooded, and they were talking about another area too, where they said that, they were talking about an arena and the Superdome or something like that. That's what it was called at the time. But they just fixated on one area. They didn't look at other areas. And so they said it was a slap in the face, kind of, when George W. Bush flew over in his airplane, but he didn't stop by. Uncle Inso. Reggie? Are you talking about Reggie Bush? Yeah, Reggie Bush. Yeah, there's been many, many Bushes. There's also wasn't there a race car team of Bush? Or I know they had Bush beer. I was thinking there was I mean, there's more people named Bush than just what some people fixate on, as in African American. But I get I get the thing of highlighting the African Americans who have been very famous, because we have had some excruciatingly famous Black folks in America my whole life. And so it's so unfair to say that Black people are not famous, because they are. If Black people are not famous, you know what they're not famous for? Who's Kyle Busch? Yeah, Kyle Busch, is he a race car driver? I think he might be. And so the thing is, it's like the thing that was missing, what was missing is Black people going to prison. So that's what they were saying, is that they wanted to be famous, but the thing that was missing was Black folks going to prison. It was all white people going to prison. So I was lolling Reggie above spelling out Negro and made me say Reggie. Well, I mean, now when you think about the word Blanco, isn't the Kathleen Blanco? I thought Blanco was a word, I thought Blanco was a word for black in Spanish, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look and see. Because if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to look this up here and go to Google Translate while I'm live streaming here. We're going to go to Translate, and we're going to type in the word black into, and then we are going to translate it. I believe it's Spanish, but I'm not sure. When we go to translate black into Spanish, we get negra, Negra. We don't get negro, but we do get negra, Negra. So, let me put in the word, let me switch. I'm going to switch these because I was thinking Blanco was also, okay, we got to switch Spanish translation. Um, and I know Blanco, I am pretty sure, is, let's see if I can, oh, Blanca is white. Blanca. Blanca is, oh, it's feminine and masculine. Spanish has Blanca, which is feminine for white. Blanco is masculine for white. So Spanish actually has feminine and masculine words at times, kind of like senor and senorita. Senor, male, senorita, female. Means what? Yeah. Oh, you said that? Let's see, with Kyle Bush. I missed what you said then. Okay, you know what I need to do? I need to go in here to my chat filter and do all messages, so maybe I will see all the messages. You said that 3 minutes ago, so I'm sure I probably missed it somewhere. Um, my camera is on. Um, yeah, my camera is on. It's on as much as it's going to be on right now. Okay, so Uncle Incel, I don't know if you wrote something. I was lolling Reggie out about spell. There's nothing wrong with spelling Negro. I believe that word is acceptable, isn't it? I'm pretty positive it is. Um, I mean, the word Schwartz. You guys remember Arnold Schwarzenegger? The word Schwartz is also a word for black. Schwartz. Schwartz is negra in feminine. Schwartz is negra Spanish. Schwartz is negro masculine in Spanish. This is what I get with this translate, Google Translate. So English Schwartz and negro are masculine for black. So they're alternative wording for the same thing. So if you wanted to, if you said something is an onyx color, so onyx color, what color is onyx? We have many different type. Coal, what color is coal? Coal can be called an onyx color if you wanted to use that terminology instead. I know this is kind of a carryover from many years ago, even earlier today, when we were talking about alternative words. So is it discrimination to use the word Schwartz? Most people in America may not know what the word Schwartz is, but you know what they're going to think? A lot people over a certain age are going to think, Schwartz, isn't that what are you talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger for? If we say Schwartz. Jet black in Spanish is Turbo Negro. Really? I didn't know that. You're right about that. I put that in just to double check, and you were absolutely right about that. That's funny. Turbo black or Turbo Negro. Turbo black is jet black. Wait a second. I put turbo. Let's see, jet black from English to Spanish is negro azabache. Negro azabache. But jet black hair, jet black heart, jet black curly hair is also references in, well, oh my gosh, Google is, I mean, with this Chat GPT and Gemini and all, I mean, this is some really good stuff because it talks about the product, it includes the products in here. related to, products. And so when I listened to General Henri, and I was thinking, well, the does the military really want to defend freedom of speech? Because there's so many products, then they want to be defended. And so then, and then let's go further with the inflation. So if the military can't and won't, then Congress, they can't and won't defend the American people related to inflation. And it's like then all they have is getting out and protesting. That's all they have is getting out and protesting civilly, protesting in some way. So what's the solution? I mean, we elect our politicians to work for us, not the corporations. And so basically and I get it. I totally get it, because when General Henri says we're defending business, more or less, in New Orleans, that's what he was talking about. They're defending the business, not the people. And so it's a difficult situation to know what's right. I mean, I really don't myself. Do not want to defend corporate. Oh, that's interesting when I think about what the direction that Ron DeSantis went. He was willing, Ron DeSantis, he's kind of like, I'm not going to call him a hero, but I liked him because of the fact he took on Disney directly in his own state. And he was not defending the corporations. He went against them hard and heavy. And I have to say, I don't, the thing is, to me, it looks like it's no skin off his nose whether he became president or not. He's governor of Florida. I mean, so he's created a legacy for himself anyway. And I'm thinking whether he becomes president of the United States or not. I mean, he's still young. Who knows? Maybe he will one day. Maybe he won't. But haven't we had enough presidents from Florida? And that's one of the things they're saying related to these guys who are trying to run for office. They have to go to New York City. Hillary Clinton went to New York City because it sounded like if she went to any of the other states that she wouldn't stand a snowball's chance in getting any airtime or getting anything. I think that's why AOC is up there in New York City too. Probably. I'm pretty sure that's why she's up there in New York City. I don't even know if that's where she's originally from. But they go to California, New York City, or Florida. And then they hobnob themselves up into being a governor or some politician in Florida, California, or New York City. And then they get themselves set up. And that's what they've been saying is they go to the big cities to try to get seated into, they'll be a senator for a little bit or some representative or something, and then they want to get them in as president. And it's like, the with the way that things have been done, I just can't do it, as far as voting and seeing how the people who have done things on the left, they just have been so unfair, very unfair. And it's been taking place since Hurricane Katrina. And, so, and the brand thing, it's just gotten worse, because it was like the news. Product placement is what it was. The news with Hurricane Katrina, everything in there was brands. And that's the problem right now is they want everything to be brands. And that was one thing I noticed when I actually, before things went bad in my marriage, that's one thing I noticed is that people were calling and they were always wanting to get brands on YouTube videos. And I noticed that today when I was doing my, I was trying to do a live stream with on my desktop, on my laptop, and then all of a sudden there's all these pop-ups coming up. It's like co-pilots coming up, all these different technology things are trying to pop up, and it's like, wait a minute, they're trying to pop up in my screen and be on camera is what's going on, or that's what it felt like. It's like there was something programmed in if I said certain words or something um, that this other stuff was trying to pop up inside of the screen. Now, haven't we had enough of the pop-ups? I mean, we had that with Yahoo. Haven't we had enough of that? And so I mean, I wonder if the advertisers are ever going to go back to actually advertising instead of thinking they're going to do product placement, because that's what they want, is product placement and getting into everybody's video. Now, the police, I don't consider them a product, but I think it's kind of funny, though. I do. I think it's kind of funny. The police are kind of slick, because they get their way into videos. The police always get their way into videos with their sirens. They're not a product, though. I don't think of them as doing anything to make a profit either. But at the same time, we have inflation. Inflation is a problem. And I mean, I'm pretty positive the police and fire department are hurt by inflation as well. And so I think I'm going to end my video right here because I've said enough for right now. I just wanted to talk about New Orleans a little bit because we are coming up on hurricane season. And I just wanted to recap on what General Honoré said related to video. And I know the military, there's a limitation of things that they do on military bases for this specific reason, in not defending brands. And so politics has gone far, far, far into branding. All the parties, they go far into branding. And I never fully understood that living on a military base, but I wasn't that interested in putting a sign up. And I think that if I did put a sign up or something in the yard and wouldn't have known any better, they probably would have come and told me to take it down. That would have been the thing. And I would have asked, well, how come I can't put it up? And then my husband would have explained to me that it violates their neutrality, the military neutrality code. I don't know if that's what they call it or not, but them being neutral for everyone. And that was, he never told me those things. Those were just things I figured out on my own. That they're supposed to defend everyone. Common sense tells you that the military is supposed to be for everyone, not just a certain people of here and there. But then, I want to connect this last part so bad. General Milley, let me see what his words were. I've got to look. I got to see what he said now. Okay, hang on. And I know something happened bad in another state, but I'm not going to talk about it because I do a good enough job, I think, ruining things on my own. Something happened in New York City really bad. But I'm not going to talk about it, though. Let's see. I was going to look up General Milley's retirement words. General Mark Milley. Retirement words. So he said, it kind of reminds me, he said, we don't take an oath to an individual, we take an oath to the Constitution. And I know that was thrown around a lot when they were saying that, it came out in media. They were pushing this in media, actually. That's what I noticed. They said that the military works for the president. That's what they were pushing. That's what I was hearing in my time on YouTube. I kept hearing that over and over again. And someone was pushing that narrative that the United States military works for the president. And I'm like, really? They don't take direct orders from the president. Now, I'd kind of made a joke at one time, and what I had said was that if we look at the George Washington era, the president was actually the leader of the military. Now, the president can be a leader, but and not necessarily be in charge of the military. And I'd kind of said that at one time that past presidents are kind of considered a five-star general, but I mean, it just kind of turns me green to think and makes me nauseous to think of Donald Trump as being a five-star general. I can't fathom it. It just turns my stomach when I think of it because he's a brand. And so that's why I'm tying this into General Honore in New Orleans when General Honore said they flew down to New Orleans and they felt like they were defending brands. And I believe him. I most wholeheartedly believe him, you know, because he said we will defend the people, but we don't have to defend the brands. And so the brands were wanting all their stuff moved out. And so, like, where were they going to put their stuff? I mean, they wanted the military to move their stuff out or to get a moving truck and move everything out. They, I don't know. I mean, that's what it felt like. And it's like, hmm. Oh, here's the rest of it. He says, we don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or dictator. We don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator. We don't take an oath to an individual. We take an oath to the Constitution, and we take an oath to the idea that is America, and we're willing to die to protect it. Um, I find that fascinating when I think of the words, what he said too, because it's like, I mean, if they truly believe that, there's a lot more power and things they can do when they get out than when they're actually active duty, I think. I mean, it's possible. I don't know. I have no idea. Now, I mean, but my thinking is, it's always been, it's like peaceful negotiations first before war. That's what I always thought, that a leader actually negotiates instead of causing wars. And I think the same thing with the position that Trump is in right now. And he's doing things for corporations. Should the government be used in this way? I'm going to have to ask this question over and over again many times, every time when it's on my mind. And should he be using his power for the power of corporations? And he is. That's what he's doing. He's using it for the power of corporations. He's using his position to enrich himself. And that's what they were talking about back in 2016 when they were throwing out about the emoluments clause. Isn't it? Enriching yourself? And it's coming out more and more related to the Jeffrey Epstein thing and Trump using a pen name. He's using a ghost author name. Donald Trump has been using a ghost author name. That's what the Jeffrey Epstein thing, I think, is about too. But I just don't know. Was Donald Trump actually Jeffrey Epstein? And he used the name Jeffrey Epstein. I'm beginning to think that it's possible that Donald Trump used the pen name Jeffrey Epstein, and maybe Jeffrey Epstein was not even real. And so that's why, and so someone else maybe knew that, and that's where they run with the story. So if the ones who know that Jeffrey Epstein was not real, then they come up with Jeffrey Epstein and Stormy Daniels, and they take off on these stories. They start these stories. What happens in the media, this is what happens. They start stories, they never finish them. So it's sort of like soap operas. You know, with soap operas, you've got a story that's kind of started. Sometimes they never go anywhere. So it'll be just kind of like, well, they told a little story about this. Then we never heard anything about it again. Now, some of the other stories, they just tend to come up year after year after year after year. And it's like, well, why are they telling the same story? So it's kind of like the things they were talking about on 2020 and 60 Minutes. And I'm thinking if legacy media would have continued, they probably would still be having the show 2020. And maybe they would have come up with a new show called 2030 or 2040. Who knows? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm on the side of humanity, of people. Um, I mean, in Google, and I was thinking it is a brand, and it's my understanding that there is a lot of military who have been involved with Google to varying degrees. Um, yes, so they will defend people. Not That's the same thing the fire department does too. When they've said that they will defend, they'll help people. So they'll help people who are in a building that doesn't pay any taxes, and once they get the people out, then they can just let the building burn. So they'll help the people, not the brand, not the building. Let me look here and see if I can find General Honore's words exactly. Let's see. What were General Honore's words about New Orleans and brands? Okay, this is good. This is good that they put this in here. Okay, so there's a lot of critique here. Following Hurricane Katrina in 2005, Lieutenant General Russell Honore, commander of the Joint Task Force Katrina, was critical of both federal and local responses, but also highlighted the resilience of the New Orleans people. Here's a summary of his statements regarding the New Orleans and its brand representing its reputation and identity. Critique of unpreparedness. Honore famously criticized the chaotic and disorganized initial response to Katrina, lamenting the lack of preparedness at all levels of government. Emphasis on the local self resilience. More recently, he emphasized the importance of communities being on their own first responders and not solely relying on federal agencies like FEMA in the immediate aftermath of a disaster. Praise for community resilience. Despite his criticism, he acknowledged and praised the spirit of New Orleans people and how neighbors helped each other before organized aid arrived, according to Louisiana Radio Network. Brand of the city and disaster preparedness. While not explicitly discussing New Orleans' brand in a tourism or business development sense, Honore's focus on preparedness and effective disaster response implicitly speaks to the city's ability to recover and maintain its vibrant culture and appeal in the face of future challenges. Focus on leadership and solutions. He stressed the importance of its effectiveness, leadership in crisis situations, focusing on finding solutions and prioritizing the well-being of people affected, according to the Christian Science Monitor. In essence, General Honore's reflections on New Orleans post-Katrina highlight the importance of proactive preparedness, the strength of community action, and the enduring resilience that has become part of the city's story. And so now the article, it didn't mention anything about the story that I saw not too long ago where they didn't where they did a interview with him, and he said that he realized, looking at what was going on, they were defending the brand more than anything. So it was almost like maybe what he was getting at is that they were they were doing what New York City did with the Twin Towers then. So they used Hurricane Katrina and did a similar thing. And so maybe things weren't as bad, because that's what some of the government officials were saying, that things weren't as bad as what they were making it out to be on TV. And so Ted Koppel, he was not even in New Orleans, and someone, he was doing an interview with someone. I thought it was General Henry, and Ted Koppel was saying, "Well, the people are saying they're not getting fed." And then the government official was saying, "Well, we are down there and we know they're getting fed." And so they were even talking about different buildings. And so Ted Koppel was saying that they were at the New Orleans arena or something like that. Whereas, and so finally, one of the government officials caught them in their lie, and he said, "Well, okay, you're talking about the arena, and we're talking about the Superdome." So there was a discrepancy in what they were talking about. So I know I said I was going to end this, and I need to end it.